other time of the year could I sit down here and find so many bush tuckers literally within arm's length. We've got that raga there. Over here we've got a fig. That'll be producing fruit in about 2 weeks. Down here we've got a native grape. Just over the back there's a palm there. And just in there we've got that Polynesian arrowroot. A month ago you wouldn't have found half of these fruits because I didn't have the rainfall to punch them up. 2 months ago you would have found none of them except for the palm. And that's the sort of effect that the wet season has on this country. In the top half of Australia, the big rains fall in the summer months, from around January through to April. The monsoon moves in from the north, the drought breaks, and a whole new fantastic cycle of life begins. Up here, we just call it the wet. This afternoon rain is typical of the wet season. All this water, all the vegetation, all the bird life, the animal life, everything comes to life at this time of year, even though it's a little bit uncomfortable to get around. Talking about comfort, you've got to find yourself a good base camp at this time, and I know exactly where there is one. This is tremendous. It's a great time of the year for me. This is when my job gets a bit easier. My life revolves around bush tucker, cataloguing it right across Australia, and right now there's plenty of them. Your biggest problem is simply getting around the place. During the wet season, rivers can flood within hours. Sometimes they can stay up for weeks or even months, isolating anyone that's caught on the wrong side. If you do have to get around by vehicle, it's four-wheel drive country only, and you still have to be very careful. One mistake, one slip, and you're faced with an hour or more of digging and winching your way out. I'm trying to get to an old campsite of mine in the Northern Territory. It's southwest of Darwin, in Aboriginal country, between the Daly River and Port Keats, or Waddy as it's now called. When Aboriginals travel through this country, they have an uncanny eye for its potential. While we're looking at the scenery, they're thinking survival. Grasses aren't something that just get in the way. All grass seeds can be eaten, some can even be used as medicines. As you'll see, it's simply a matter of using what's around rather than fighting against it. Well, this is it. This is my wet season camp. I built it 2 years ago, I think, for that exact reason, to escape the wet. It's looking a bit crooked now. Needs a bit of work on it. Got an old tree falling down, a bit of long grass here, but a little bit of effort can come right up again. Pretty flash cam, in fact. Over here I've even got a shower point. It probably wouldn't win too many design awards when you look at it, but it used to work pretty well for me 12 months ago when I used it last time. Looking at it now though, I reckon I've got a bit of work to do. The bush provides a lot of the building materials you need for a camp like this. And in these conditions, it regenerates pretty quickly. Out here, you do have to be careful though. Even small cuts can turn into tropical ulcers. And the hospitals are few and far between. But if you're prepared to do without a few of the home comforts, then the isolation can be very appealing. Even in the middle of the wet season, you can still get beautiful, clear, sunny mornings. But whatever the conditions, the best way to do my work is on foot. Because of the rainfall, plant life is no longer restricted to the waterways. It can be found cropping up all over the country. And that means I've got to cover a lot more ground. One of the real problems of working and walking around wetland areas like this at this time of year are these little fellas here. Leeches. You get them all through this country here. Go on, get out. And you've got to get rid of them because once they lock on, they're a bit hard to remove. I guess if you spend 5 minutes walking around here, you can expect 20 or 30 leeches to be on your legs, so you've got to check yourself out all the time. Anyway, I've got to get going. Just dump that in there for a bit, because I reckon I stand a real good chance of catching a feed. Probably a little perch or something like that. You get lots of them around up here.